The Amada Marvel PC3 control is the most user-friendly, intuitive saw control on the market today. Anytime the control has the three-phase power turned off, you'll have to do a simple calibration process. You'll see Windows boot up in the background. Once the Windows boot up is complete, the Marvel PC3 control software will boot up in the background as well. Once the software has booted up, we simply start the hydraulics, reset the door alarm, and continue through the warning page. The calibrations that are required are homing the shuttle, calibrating the tilt and resetting the 0 point, and if it has the optional smart guide arm, we have to calibrate the upper limit and lower limits of the guide arm. We lower the guide arm to its lowest limit and set lower limit. We'll raise the guide arm to its upper limit and set the upper limit. When that's complete, we just press the done button and it brings us to another warning page, which we continue, and we start at the home page. At the home page, we'll see every so many hours of operation or every so many tilt cycles, it'll ask us to check the transmission oil level, and you'll see the flashing warning on the screen. We simply press the check oil level button. It's going to stand the column up to 0 degrees to get an accurate oil check. Once the oil check is complete, if the health status box in the lower left corner comes back green, everything is satisfied. We're now ready to operate the manual controls. From the home screen, we can access the manual saw controls, we can program a part or a job, or we can run a part or a job. We also have shortcuts to the manual saw controls at the bottom of the screen. The first shortcut we have is to control the shuttle movement left and right. We can also open and close the vices, or advance and retract the saw frame. The second shortcut button at the bottom gives us the ability to tilt the saw frame, raise and lower the guide arm, or advance and retract the column. The home button will take us back to the home page at any time. The back button will take us back to the previous screen from where we're currently at. If I press the first shortcut button, it takes me to the vice control screen, shuttle movement screen, and column advance retract screen. All of the vice buttons work very similar. The first set of vice buttons we see are the second machine vice with the number 2 shown on the saw bed. The second set of vice controls we see is the number 1 or primary vice controls with the number 1 shown on the saw bed. And the last set of vice controls are for the shuttle vice, open and close. In order to close the vices, we first have to enable the vices, and now press the close button within 2 to 3 seconds, and press the clamp button within 2 to 3 seconds. That will lock the vice in and allow us to cut. To open the vice at any time, we press the vice button open. That is disabled during the cutting operation. The only time we can open is when we're manually setting it up. I can also enable the vices and close the second vice. If I don't press the lock button within 2 to 3 seconds, I have to start the process over. Opening the second vice works just like the first vice. I can also operate the shuttle vice in the same manner. Enable the vice, close the vice, and lock the vice, or open the vice using the bottom button. Also from this screen, we have the ability to engage the hold downs. Whenever the hydraulic hold downs are enabled, they will automatically clamp when I close the primary machine vice or the second machine vice. They will also open when I open the first machine vice or second machine vice. We have access also to the optional hydraulic lift roller. If the lift roller button is pressed, it will lift a roller on the side of the saw bed, allowing us to roll the material across the table. This feature is disabled when the vices are clamped, but as long as the vices are unclamped, it allows us to lift the material and roll the material across the table. When I get it in place, I press the button to drop it back down on the saw bed. Our shuttle controls can be manually operated in turtle speed to the right, or in rabbit speed to the right and to the left. Another feature available on the servo models is an auto move feature. The auto move feature can be used to make an absolute movement, meaning I can make it move 40 inches from its absolute home position, and the shuttle will automatically move to the 40-inch position. We also have the ability to make a move relative to where we're currently at. I can make a 2-inch move relative to where I'm currently at, and the shuttle will advance another 2 inches. This is useful when trying to cut up remnants or using it as a back gauge to cut up bars that cannot be automatically indexed. We also have the ability to send the shuttle to its rear position by pressing the home button and pressing move. This will send the shuttle all the way away from the saw. We can also make a park movement, which is going to send the shuttle all the way towards the saw. This is useful when doing overhead loading. When we're finished with the auto move, we can simply close the auto move screen and we're back to the manual controls again. One other feature is the auto clear guide arm. If we have material clamped in the shuttle vise and try to move the shuttle, it will automatically raise the guide arm to make sure that there's sufficient clearance for the material to slide underneath it. The last control buttons we see on this manual control screen are the column advance, column retract, automatic return, and stop forward features. Pressing the top button will make the column advance forward, and the blade will move into the table. Pressing the second button will cause the blade to retract back out of the material or out of the table. I can move it in rabbit speed or turtle speed. Turtle speed gives you the ability to jog it forward and take a tape measurement if needed. When finished, we retract it back and get it ready to start a cut. The bottom button is a stop forward when it's illuminated gray, or automatic return when it's illuminated green. If stop forward is set, the blade will stay forward at the end of a cut and shut off the blade. If it's illuminated green, it will automatically retract at the end of a cut. Now we'll jump to the manual tilt controls, saw frame controls, and guide arm controls. We have the same saw frame controls we saw in the previous screen. Column advance, column retract, rabbit speed, turtle speed, as well as stop forward and auto return. The guide arm can be raised and lowered manually using the lower button, raise button, listed in the top right corner. You can also select which style of vise plates we currently have on the machine. The default vices that come with the machine are 60 degree. We offer 45 degree jaws, which limits the amount of tilt angle to 45 degrees. We also offer square jaws, which limits the machine to no tilting at all, to prevent any damage to your vise jaws or vise plates. The default is going to be 60 degrees, which is going to give you full tilt range up to 60 degrees left and 60 degrees right. We have manual tilt controls. We can manually drive the tilt using the push buttons either in turtle speed or rabbit speed until you get to the desired angle. There are 7 preset positions which we can select on the screen. Select the position you want to move to and hit the start button. It will tilt to the preset value and stop. If you want to move to a position that's not listed on the presets, you touch the Move to Angles field Once we have the material positioned where we want it, the saw frame positioned where we want it, and the material clamped, we're ready to go to the manual or single cut mode, pressing the green blade button in the lower right corner. In the manual cut screen, we have the ability to set our blade speeds. We have big adjustments by increments of 10 using the double arrows, or small adjustments by increments of 1 using the single arrows. Set the blade speed to the desired speed for the material. We can also use the keypad by touching the blade speed, and a keypad will pop up. We have the same adjustments for feed force, coarse adjustments with the double arrows or fine adjustments with the single arrows, or touch the field and key in the value with the keypad. Feed rate, simply touch the field and key in the feed rate based on the material that you'll be cutting. Once the feeds and speeds are set, we'll go to the coolant controls. Coolant controls We have the ability to turn it on all the time by pressing the top button. When the button is green, it's running continuously. It's going to be running the flood coolant because the shower head shows we have solid streams coming out, which indicates flood coolant. If I touch the shower head button, it toggles over to mist coolant, indicated by dashed lines coming out of the shower head. This is an optional feature. Normal operation, we'll set the coolant in the automatic position, pressing the second button. The swirl symbol indicates automatic operation when the blade starts. If I'm not sure what feeds and speeds to set, we offer a handy cutting chart. Select the material size that you'll be cutting, touch the drop-down menu, and select the type of material from the drop-down screen. It's going to use the median suggested value, and we can back out of here and it's just going to place those values into your cutting field. Next, we'll set the chip conveyor to run. I can manually jog the chip conveyor using the jog button. I can turn it to the auto feature with the swirl symbol indicates the chip conveyor will run when the blade runs. If we encounter a jam where a trim cut or small piece falls into the conveyor, we'll get a jam light warning and we can jog the chip conveyor backwards using the jog button. We have access to the primary vise control, secondary vise controls, as well as the automatic second vise. The automatic second vise can be engaged by pressing the vise enable button and again hitting the automatic second vise button. This ties the second vise into the primary or first machine vise. Whatever I do with the primary or first vise, the second vise will also follow. We can make any small adjustments we might want to make to the automatic guide arm, up and down. We can set our vise type as well as material height, and it shows the guide arm position from here. Once we have everything set to run, we simply press the blade start button and the cut begins. We have an active cut timer running. This will run until the completion of the cut. We currently have the saw set to stop forward. If I touch the button, it's going to automatically shut the blade off and return the blade at the end of the cut. Now we'll jump into automatic programming and operating in automatic. From the home page, we go to the Program Parts or Jobs. We're going to program a new part. Select the shape that you want to cut. Give it the angles that you need to cut it at. Tell it the material height and the length of the part that you're looking for. Touch the job name field, type in the part number or job name, and save it. Finish programming, we hit the done button, and we can either modify a part or add another new part. If I want to modify the part that I just created, find it in the drop down menu, gives you the preview of the part, select the field that you need to modify, and enter the change and save it. It will ask if you want to overwrite the existing data. You said yes. And we're finished modifying it. Now that it's been saved in the library, we can come from the home page, we can go to running parts or jobs. We're going to run a part, the part that we just saved in the library. Find the part in the drop-down menu. Gives you a preview of the part that you just programmed. We select whether we need a trim cut or no trim cut. In this case, it's a new bar, so we'll need a trim cut. We're going to choose whether we want to do all the parts right side up or flip mode or common line cutting, which shares the tail end of the first cut with the leading edge of the second cut. Choose the number of parts to be cut and load the part into the memory. This will prepare it to run in automatic. Toggle over to the automatic screen. Set our feeds and speeds for the type of material being cut. Make sure the coolant is set to run. The chip conveyor is set to run. The vices are locked. And hit Start Job. The machine will automatically detect if there's no material present. In this case, we had run out of material. The saw detects that and gives us the ability to either load new material and resume the job, or in this case, cancel the job. Series 2000 machines have an optional feature called bullet nose. Bullet nose is something other than trapezoids, parallelograms, or straight cuts. This comes standard when ordered with the 380 PC3S. To program a bullet nose shape, we're going to add a new part to the library. We have the standard shapes shown on the left, or we have a button called bullet nose parts. Bullet nose parts are shapes that have more than one angle on the leading edge. They can have 2 or 3 angles on the leading edge. Select the shape that you want to cut. We now have some extra input fields. We have L1, H1, L2, and H2. Put in the dimensions that we need to cut. Put in the height of the material. Modify the angles if needed on the ends of the part. If we give it a bad value, the screen will tell you in the top left corner that there's an error. One of the dimensions is not correct. Until we get this error corrected, it's going to keep flashing the error and the field that is incorrect. Give it a part number, give it a correct dimension. We still have an error in the top corner. We have to correct the error. Now that we've put in a good dimension, the error goes away, all dimensions are good. We can save this into the library. We'll finish programming. We can jump back out to the home page, select Run Parts or Jobs, run the part, find the part in the library. Shows you a preview of the part, tell it the number of pieces to be cut, and load it into the memory. Once the part is loaded, we can toggle automatic and press start. One of the most commonly used features on this machine is the fast cut part. Fast cut part is a part that's not saved into the library under a name or a number. It's simply a one-off part, something I'm not going to make again. I select the shape I want to cut, give it the dimensions of the part height, and the angles desired. Tell it the number of pieces to be cut. Select whether you want to flip the part or cut them right side up, whether you need a trim cut, and then load the part into the memory. Toggle over the automatics and press Start Job. Servo style machines also give us the ability to do fast cut jobs. A fast cut job can have up to 10 different pieces. This job is not saved into the library under a name or a number. Select the shape that we want to cut for piece number 1. Give it the bar height. Bar height will be dictated by piece number 1. Give it the length of the part and the quantity of pieces to be cut. Now we can put part number 2 into this fast cut job. Give it the length of the part and the angles desired. Tell it the number of pieces to be cut. Now we can enter part number 3 into this job. Select the shape, give it the dimensions, the quantity to be cut. When the number of pieces to be cut are finished, you select trim cut or no trim cut. Tell it how many repeats you want. Load the job into the memory and toggle over to automatic to start the job as we have in the past. Also from the automatic screen we have shortcuts. We can run a part through here, run a job through here, run a fast cut job, or run a fast cut part. We'll now build an automatic job. Before building a job, we have to save parts in the library. The PC3 control can save up to 500 parts and 500 jobs in the library. Each job can have up to 20 different parts in it. Give the new part the dimensions we need, the length, the angles, and the bar height. Give the part a part number or part name, and save it to the library. Now we can add a new job that has this part in the job. Select the part from the drop-down menu. Touch the job field as to which piece you want to cut first. Give it the quantity to be cut, and now select the next part from the drop-down menu that you'd like to cut. If we try to insert a part into this job that is not of the same bar height, it's going to give us an error. We can see the red flashing light indicates there's an error. The message above it will tell us what the error is. If the bar height of part number 2 doesn't match the bar height of part number 1, it will give us the error. We clear the part out of there until we can find the correct part with the dimensions we need. Give the job a name. You can save the blade speed, blade feed force, and feed rates into the job as well. Save it to the memory. Now we can go to Run Parts or Jobs, select Run Auto Job, find the job that we want to run from the drop-down menu, tell it how many times you want to repeat that job. If I need 10 sets of parts, I'll repeat it 10 times. If I need 4 sets of parts, I'll repeat it 4 times. Download the job to the memory, toggle over to Automatic, and press Start. Other features we have available from the home page: we can go to System Settings, which gives us the ability to calibrate the touchscreen, clean the touchscreen, set up notching, or enter the machine settings. Also from the home page, we have access to diagnostics such as alarms, alarm log, active I/O. This is a useful feature when trying to troubleshoot if a sensor is dirty or activated. We also have data logging available on the 2000 series. We can view the number of times that the saw blade is run, what zones the saw head is tilted to, the distance that the guide arm has traveled, and how many cuts have been made. A few other useful features from the home page: you can access our contact information. The Series 2000 machine has a built-in calculator on the home page, not available on the 380 at this time. We also have the ability to convert from inch mode to metric mode, to be able to program in inches versus millimeters, or millimeters versus inches. Some of the common maintenance features we have to perform are blade changes and blade tracking. This is done through the 3-position switch on the lower right corner. Turning the switch to the left will put it in blade change mode. On the top right corner, I can reset the blade runtime. Through the screen, I can also turn on the coolant to flush the machine down with the flood coolant. I can also raise and lower the guide arm, making it easier to change the blade by having the blade arm about halfway down. If I turn the switch back to run, it gives me a warning to make sure that I've got the guides in the cutting position. Turning the switch to the right gives me the ability to jog the blade. This will run the blade at a slow controlled speed so that you can make any tracking adjustments, and then jog the blade to check the adjustment. When finished, put it back to the run mode. It will make sure that you have the guides back in the cutting position and you're ready to run the machine again. The Amada Marvel PC3 control.